OAWALKER here, and in this video we're going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S3 and the LG Nexus 4. We're going to be putting them head to head and kind of see which one comes out on tops, and which, if you're deciding which one to get, hopefully this video will help you decide which one, you know, is better and which one you want to get. So we're going to start off with the hardware, then we're going to jump into the software after. So S3 has a 4.8-inch screen. This is Super AMOLED screen, so you get those nice vibrant colors. And it also has a 720p resolution. That's 1280 by 720. This has a 4.7 inch screen, so it's slightly smaller. And when you hold it in your hand, it does feel slightly wider than the S3. So the screen is feels slightly wider, but you get used to that when you start holding it after a while. And yeah, this has a 1280 by 768 resolution. It's got that little bit extra pixels for the on-screen buttons at the bottom here. So see, this Samsung Galaxy S3 is available in different colors: blue, white, and I think some red, silver, and some other colors. This is only available in black, but there's rumors white might be coming out very soon. So let's kind of put them side by side. So let's see which one's taller. This Samsung Galaxy S3 is slightly taller, and Samsung Galaxy S3 is slightly thinner. You can see where the buttons are located roughly at the same position. So let's put these side by side one more time. So you can see the S3 is slightly thicker, not thicker, I mean wider. So you could see it's just slightly wider, not by too much, just slightly wider. And the material in the Nexus is glass on the front and back, so it uses Corning Gorilla Glass 2 on the front and the back, and it also has Corning Gorilla Glass on the S3 as well. And the S3 is actually just made out of plastic, and it does feel kind of cheap. It doesn't have that premium feel to it when you hold it in your hand. It does feel quite cheap. Whereas the Nexus 4, it has that premium feel to it when you hold it in your hand because of the glass on the front and the back, and because of the rubber going all the way around. So, you know, it just gives it an extra feel and an extra grip when you're holding it in your hand. It does feel very nice, much better quality than the Samsung Galaxy S3, without a doubt. So let's take a look at the back, see what both of them look like at the back. Both of them do attract fingerprints. Take a look at the front one more time. I was going to take a look at which one's actually. I'm going to move the camera a little bit so you can get a good idea. Hope you can see the S3 is just slightly thinner. The Nexus just comes out just by a little bit. Hopefully you could pick that up on camera. So that's just what they look like. This is just slightly thicker. So now we're gonna boot both of them up at the same time, and we're gonna see which one boots up first. Both of these are off, so we're just gonna boot them up at exactly the same time. So let's go. That was roughly about the same time. So I'll put that back down. Let's go over the specs. Both of them have quad-core processors. This uses the Exynos quad-core processor. This uses the Snapdragon Pro processor. Pretty much the two of the best quad-core processors you're gonna get right now. This has 1 GB RAM and this has 2, but in the US version of the S3 has 2 gigs of RAM, so it may vary. Both of them have 8-megapixel cameras on the back and front-facing cameras. So next, the S3 one that it booted up first, so you could just unlock it. So now we're just going to be taking a look at the software now. So the Samsung, both of them are running Jelly Bean. This is Jelly Bean 4.1. This is Jelly Bean 4.2. So it's slightly more recent version than the Nexus. Obviously, with the Nexus, you're going to receive the updates first, and you're always going to have the latest version of Android on there. With the S3, it will take maybe a couple months for it to get on there if they decide to put it on there. So that's something to bear in mind. Also, this is running TouchWiz on top of Android, so you're going to get a Samsung skin theme on top. With the Nexus, you're just going to get stock Android experience. So it's down to if you're deciding between the two, and you have to take this into consideration whether you prefer stock Android or you like a TouchWiz, or it doesn't really matter to you. So you need to kind of decide that. So we're just gonna take a swipe between screens and see which one's smoother. Hopefully you could see. I've actually noticed that the Nexus is slightly smoother and slightly more responsive when you're scrolling. I don't know if the camera could pick that up, it just seems a bit faster. And I know that the S3 has the animations, but it just seems a bit more responsive when you're scrolling. Let's talk about the battery life on both of them. I actually found the battery life on the S3 to be far better. Battery life on the Nexus isn't that great, or just about get you through the day with medium usage. If you're going to use it heavily, you might want to bring a spare charger with it, but S3 definitely wins in terms of battery and camera performance on it as well. S3 just gave a bit sharper images and better audio quality, so the better camera has to go with the S3. I'm gonna touch on the benchmarks. Again, I got better benchmark scores on the S3. With the Nexus, I think the reason why I didn't get as high benchmark results is either because the phone needs another update, or the application itself needs to be updated in order to support 4.2 Jelly Bean. So it's one of those two. I'm gonna kind of wait for an update, and if the results get better after the update, I'll definitely do a video showing you the updated results. If you're really into gaming and you really wanna use the phone for gaming purposes, you have to look at it this way. The S3 has a slightly bigger screen, so you're gonna have a bit more space to kind of play the game. If you're gonna have two thumbs on the screen, you're just gonna have slightly more space. The Nexus is slightly smaller screen, but you're always gonna have the on-screen buttons down here. So the on-screen buttons are just gonna take up a little bit of space. So that's something to bear in mind. And all the games run perfectly fine on the Nexus and the S3, no issues. Maybe a few games lag a little bit. I think it was Need for Speed Most Wanted and Nova 3 lag just a little bit, but I'm sure once they update the applications, everything will run smoothly. So I don't really see that as an issue. But I think the gaming experience will be slightly better on the S3, just because you get the slightly bigger screen and the battery life will last just a little bit longer. But on the Nexus, the battery life is still good, and you can still play any games on there without any issues. So that's just something to bear in mind as well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be taking a look at is browsers, and we're going to see which one's faster. You got the stock browser on here, and then on the S3 and on the Nexus 4 you got the Chrome browser. I actually found this stock one to be a bit bad. I don't really like Chrome that much, so we're going to test the speed and kind of see. So we're going to load up the verge.com and see if we can hit go at the same time on them. That was about the same time. So it takes us to the mobile version of it. I think the S3 loaded slightly quicker, just by a hair. You can see what scrolling is like. Scrolling just seems a bit more responsive. You get to the top of the page a lot quicker on the Nexus just by scrolling. But we're going to load up the full site. We're going to see if we hit the link at the same time. Yep, that was about the same time. Look like the S3 loaded up just slightly quicker, and the Nexus just behind it, so it's just slightly quicker, maybe by a second behind. So we're gonna put these phones down for a bit. Hopefully you can still see it. We zoom in a bit. We're just gonna test scrolling. It just seems a bit more responsive on the Nexus. I don't know if you can see it, and scrolling just seems to be a bit quicker. And it seems to be the more frames on the Nexus. Whoops. So let's try pinch to zoom now. Yeah, it's definitely more responsive on the S3. Just feels a bit more responsive. This is one of the reasons why I don't really like Chrome browser, because to me it's not really the best web browser out there. The browser that they had before was a lot more responsive. It's not to say it's not responsive, it's just at times it can be really difficult to use. When you're pinching to zoom in and double tapping, it just seems a bit more responsive on the S3. And the text looks like it clears up a bit faster on the S3 as well. Yeah, it does. And if you noticed, I did hit the home button, the on-screen buttons at the bottom right there. But you know what I'm saying, the web browsing experience is good. If you don't like the Chrome browser, there are other alternatives that you could get. You could load on Firefox or Dolphin. I've actually been using Firefox, and that's been working pretty well for me. Right now we're gonna see if we could go back, zoom out a bit, and we're gonna open up a link. I'm gonna open up this link right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. That was very close. It looked like the Nexus was just a little bit faster on that one. But you can see how it displays the pages. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep into this. That's just a quick look at the internet browser. Okay, so just to wrap up, if you're deciding which one to get or which one you like better, it all comes down to personal preference. Whether you like the stock Android or you like TouchWiz on there. It also comes down if you want to get the latest updates first. So if they release like the new version of Android, you know you're gonna get it on the Nexus first, maybe within the first days after they announce it, or a couple weeks after. You know you're gonna get it on the Nexus. On the S3 you might have to wait a few months to get the update. So that's just something to bear in mind. And also the S3 has a slightly bigger screen. It's got 4.8 and this has 4.7. And it takes up a little bit of the screen at the bottom for the on-screen buttons, so that's just something else to bear in mind as well. You don't have the on-screen buttons on here, so you can just get that much bigger display when you're actually using the phone and playing games, browsing the internet, and all of that good stuff. So that's something to bear in mind, whether you prefer to have a slightly bigger screen or slightly smaller screen. So that's down to you. And personally, if you want to know which one I prefer, I'll have to say I prefer the Nexus. Simply because I love the stock Android and I love how it looks and I love how it feels. It just feels nice and clean, and you get updates first. That's what I really like about it. I don't really like the skins that they put on top of Android. I always like stock Android. The first thing I do when I get a new phone is put Nova Launcher on there or something. So yeah. And that's why I'm going to be selling my S3. I'm going to be keeping this as my main phone. I know the battery life isn't great, slightly smaller screen, but I could get through that. It's not really big of an issue for me. And yeah, that's just a quick look at both of them. I'll put them head to head. Hopefully from this video you could get an idea of what phone you prefer and which one to get if you're looking to get one of these two phones. And yeah, that's about it. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave your comments down below, tell me what you think. And thanks for watching. Peace.